Fortuna is arguably Warframe's best update yet, bringing a massive open world area with more content than any other update ever has. But it left me feeling disappointed and I took another break from the game. So how could Warframe's best update even be associated with disappointment? Let's start with the first and most important reason: time. Fortuna and the Orb Velis were being developed soon after Plains of Eidolon came out, and I've been intently watching every developer livestream ever since. Fortuna's initial release was aimed for April at the earliest, and before TennoCon at the latest, which was in July. Time continued to pass by and Fortuna released 5 months after TennoCon. During this time period, many people began to complain about the content drought. Very little content was released in Warframe this year, especially for players who have already done everything in the game. I have also reached that point in Warframe where the only reason to open up the game is for the daily login reward. I have not had any issues with the content drought, and I found most of the complaints rather silly, because Warframe is free after all and it has kept me busy for over 1,500 hours this year. That is more than any other game I've ever played, so Warframe is not lacking in content. However, it is lacking new content, and time is what degrades how people perceive new content. Now for the second reason: change. Digital Extremes is trying very hard to improve Warframe as it is and change it completely at the same time, not knowing what to prioritize. Warframe has too much potential and it needs to be handled better. When Fortuna finally dropped, it introduced some big issues, including the lack of change. Fortuna is literally Cetus version 2. It has a small set of painfully repetitive bounties, with fishing, mining, and resources all exclusive to Fortuna. Sure, Fortuna's release was multiple times greater than that of Cetus, but it struggles to beat Cetus as it is now. Right now, nothing is linked between Cetus and Fortuna, making them both closed grinding loops that are specific to their own progression systems. Fortuna's resources can only be used for items in Fortuna, just like Cetus. Last year, the devs addressed the closed nature of Cetus and said those resources will be used elsewhere. Now we have the same problem with Fortuna. Third reason: purpose. Fortuna's landscape is breathtaking. I love snow environments, and the Orb Velis is everything I ever wanted for an environment in Warframe. There are so many areas that reek of mystery and lore, and beautiful caves that I could spend hours admiring. If only it weren't so empty. There is no reason to explore these caves or travel to different landmarks. They are all just there. After a year of waiting, I expected more than just 1 week of mining and grinding on a rail to reach max level with the Fortuna syndicates. The new enemies were actually very challenging after they scaled above level 70. The different Rachnoids are very fun to fight, and I would love to spend weeks hunting them down and defeating them at their highest levels. Unfortunately, there is no reason to do that. The Rachnoids don't drop anything special, which completely kills any motive to take them on. One comparison I can make is the Megalodons in Sea of Thieves, which I started playing recently. Megalodons never dropped any rewards, so there was never any reason to kill it. Everyone would just ignore them and sail on. Now that it does drop loot, people are always eager to attempt to kill it, as they will be rewarded for their efforts. If Rachnoids dropped toroids after you killed them, then suddenly they would have purpose and everyone would make an effort to try and hunt them down. Small changes like this can go a long way, especially considering that toroids are needed for progression with Vox Solaris. Right now, the Orb Velis is hardly anything more than a blank canvas. Events, mini-bosses, and quests can really help bring the Velis to life, and I hope it happens soon. Fourth reason: orbs. I was hyped to take on the massive orb spiders and get smacked in the process. Much to my disappointment, I've waited over a month for their invulnerable status to be changed. Almost all boss fights in Warframe are underwhelming, but the Eidolons took things to the next level and I captured hundreds of them. My anticipation for fighting the orbs is literally at its peak. Orb heists are going to be introduced one update at a time, so we will only be able to fight one orb boss before the year ends. Thankfully, it's not going to be a copy-paste of Eidolon hunts. It'll be more of a trial-based activity where you will have to complete multiple different steps before you can take on the orb boss. I really hope we won't have to wait long for the next 2 orb heists. Fifth reason: K-drives. K-drives are a great addition to the game and are very fun to use. If only there was a reason to use them. Archwing outclasses the K-drive in every possible way. K-drives don't have abilities, they are slow, and you can't shoot while you ride them. K-drives have no purpose right now and have a literal grinding loop just to make your K-drive look different and perform slightly better with mods. K-drive racing against other players was something I hoped for at launch, and I still hope it gets added soon. Sixth reason, hunting. By hunting, I mean fishing and tranking animals. Catching fish here in the Veles lacks any challenge, and I honestly had way more fun catching fish in the plains. I may be nitpicking, but the robotic fish are rather underwhelming, and only the Orokin fish catch my interest. Hunting and conserving the animals in the Veles is a very fun activity, and I'm excited to hunt the new ones that are being added soon as well. What disappoints me is that the only rewards are floofs. While it does make for a good meme, I would love to see some rewards other than floofs from Biz. Now for the final reason. I want that feeling back. That feeling of being overwhelmed, not knowing what to do. That's one of the biggest reasons why I got hooked on Warframe. It challenged me to learn and figure things out for myself. Most games nowadays will hold your hand, not Warframe. Fortuna hardly filled that desire. Having spent so much time in Cetus and the Plains of Eidolon, I walked into Fortuna with everything feeling familiar. I knew what to do and how to do it within the first day of release. Fortuna still has so much potential, and I really want it to be so much better. The only problem is that it will be a matter of time, and time tends to be a dangerous thing.